so excited that you've joined us for today's live stream presented by RVTravel.com. Today's program will begin shortly. While we allow some time for others to join, we want to take care of a few housekeeping items. Everything presented in this live stream is true to the very best of our knowledge and experience, but we are human. Occasionally, we might be wrong. We don't want you spending thousands of dollars simply because we said something was good or fixing something according to what we suggested. Do your research, check your owner's manual, and seek assistance from your vetted and trustworthy certified RV technician.
So during our live stream, it's only going to get better if you participate. We'd love to hear from YOU. So while you're tuning into the show, please let us know what kind of rig you have, where you currently reside, if you're a part-timer, if you're a full-timer, and most importantly, what technical questions can we help you with? Feel free to submit your questions throughout the show. You can even start that right now.
During today's live stream, we may show you what we like to call cool tools. These are tools and gadgets that we actually use and we believe will be helpful to you. If you are interested in learning more about these products, please see the YouTube description box for more information.
During today's live stream, we will be doing a giveaway. To be included in the drawing, be sure to include a hashtag on the screen in your comments during the live stream. So let's get started.
Hello, everybody, and welcome to our March 15th Talking RV Tech. I've got Dustin with me from California RV Specialists, and we are Zachless tonight. I guess that's how you would say that. He's at the shop, busy. My name's Dave Solberg, and Dustin, you and I were talking a little bit earlier with all the rain out there, asking how the business was, and you said you were busy. Tell us what's happening.
So just between all the high winds that we've been having in California and all the sudden rainstorms, a lot of roof vent lids, sealant issues, water leaks, awnings getting torn up, that kind of stuff. So a lot of people coming in that, or need something done right now and that they can't wait,
And Ashley said you had to get out of your chair and fix stuff yourself.
Me and Zach.
just kidding.
She's not.
She's not. It's
it's like, go out there and make me some money.
Part of owning your own business, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. No, and I think it's kind of ironic because we just RVIA just announced their annual report, and they put out how many units last year, 499,000 units. So we're still seeing a real high rate, 600 and some thousand in 2020, I think it was, or 2021, I believe, but 499,000. Now that was wholesale to the dealership. That wasn't retail, but I think we're still at about 450,000. And then I think it also was ironic that a few pages down, their goal for the RV Training Institute, RVTI, was to train 1,000 technicians. And so we got 1,000 technicians with 499,000 new RVs into the market. So it's still a problem.
It's bad. I mean, it's bad to the point, Dave, where we advertise in every way, shape, or form. We pay really good. We try to keep it like family down there. We're always looking for somebody. And, the dealerships, it's so, or at least around us in Northern California, if it's older than 10 years old, they don't want to touch it. If they didn't sell it to you, they don't want to touch it. If it's not a brand they sell, they don't want to touch it.
Yep. Well, and the problem, I was on this conference call with
4 to 6 months out, some of them.
Well, and I was on this conference call with these people, and they were saying as the big box and the big flag companies are selling like crazy and they don't have anywhere near the workforce to service these things, that some of these big dealers, they're just doing what's called triage. They're taking the cream, whatever is going to make them the most money in the shortest amount of time, and so it's a little tough. It's tough to do that. But so we got Frank Zabrowski came in. We are giving away the Cool fan. It's a refrigerator fan that is designed to sit inside the refrigerator and just circulate air. Because in your refrigerator, you get warm air that rises to the top. So hashtag cool, or hashtag Dustin, as we like to call it, is what we're going to do today. And we've got a question already that came in from John. Dougherty John says, hello from Orlando, Florida. He's got a 2016 Forest River Sandpiper. The facing the camper, the right side on the last slide, there is a 2.5-inch crack in the fiberglass upper right-hand corner. Can I fix this?
So the issue is it could be a frame issue in the wall where the welds are separated. The room itself could have got out of a whack and caused it to push more pressure on the wall, John, and cause it to crack. But that cracking, to me, we see that all the time.
Yep.
I would say probably 2 out of every 5 RVs I walk up have some kind of crack in a corner, either upper or lower corner on a slide out.
Yep. Because what you've got, and this is a little different because this is a Winnebago. This would be similar to the opening of your slide room, and it would have a frame. Now, Winnebago, they route their styrofoam, so they've got styrofoam here. Otherwise, you'd see full frame in this. So up here is kind of where your crack is going to be at, and you're going to have either a weld issue or structural integrity. And, typically what I see that happen most of the time is that people don't level and stabilize their coach. And so if you don't do that, even if you're on a level surface, if you don't stabilize it, you bring that room out, you're going to twist, you're going to add some issues, some stress to that. And when you do that, then it's going to twist the sidewall, and those corners don't have a lot of reinforcement. So you can,
we've seen a lot of bad welds too.
Yep.
Or they just tack weld that aluminum, and you got to keep in mind that aluminum is like as thin as a dime. I mean, it's not thick or strong like we would think it should be.
Mine's a quarter. Mine's
yeah, thick as a quarter. Yeah. I mean, it's we just did a front cap on a Grand Design Momentum, and I had took some pictures just to have of the rough work that was put in, and there was customers or owners and groups looking at it going, wow, who taught that guy how to weld? That looks horrible. And I said, wasn't us.
No, and I know, there's been, you can cosmetically, I think.
You can hide it. Yeah. I mean, you could grind it out, maybe inject it with like epoxy or like a kitty hair, or use some like fiberglass or different fiberglass products out there that you can blend in there.
Yeah. I know.
But by the time you go back and sand it down and try to paint it, just remember, if we're talking, if that crack is as thin as a line, like a small phone cord cable or whatever, you're going to have to paint a bigger area. Now you're going to see that forever. That painted area is always going to look nice while the rest of the coach fades, and it's always going to stand out if you're wearing a pair of sunglasses.
Yeah, well, and with your fiberglass, and it kind of depends. I don't know if the Sandpiper is a full body paint model or not. I would assume it's not. I would assume it's just a fiberglass with gel coat. So you're going to have 2 different surfaces. You're going to have a shiny gel coat on one, and so you'll have some differences in that. And what I've seen, like customer service at Winnebago will do, is they will take and just kind of sand out that area that's cracking. You drill a hole at the end of the crack because that keeps it from taking off going further, and then they'll put a fiberglass patch over that, and just basically it make a big square that sticks out, and but it's like, well, you want to go further.
Exactly what, if we were going to fix it, we would cut that area out, dig out all the foam, find out, like you're saying, if it's a structural, if it's a weld issue, either re-weld it, bracket it, glue new foam back in, and then now glue new glue on and new final on back in, and then now you're having to paint and sand that whole area.
Yeah, I would say it's John. It's not an easy,
or block it. I mean, you can block it too with hardwood, but
yeah, it's not an easy DIY. But if you want to do just a quick cosmetic, drill a small hole at the end of the crack, and then
put some sealant or something in it to protect it.
Just put some resin and sealant in it and watch it.
If it's let's say, I mean, it's not going to be under a decal because you wouldn't see it at that point, but you could always try to get a small decal or square or something that would kind of blend in with the coach and put it, fill it, whether you use, sealant or you're using I
got an idea. Doesn't Chuck have some RVtravel.com stickers?
There you go.
We'll put a sticker, just like the maps of the.
Don't look here.
Don't look here. Yes. All right. So not an easy fix. And we've got, again, #cool is.
What year was that again? That was a 16. Yeah.
Yeah. 16.
Check your suspension too, because, your suspension in your pin box, and make sure that nothing's, jumping around or shaking that room too much, because the flex of that room, when it's in the closed position, that could even cause that to crack either direction.
Yep.
So
the more you move that, whether you're going down the road or you're pulling
hard
it out,
turn.
Yep. Pulling it out. So we had from Arkansas, where we have Gravette, Arkansas. And my brother's down in Conway. Been down there many, many times. So ES99 Cobra says, I have a 2019 Columbus fifth wheel. The bathroom GFI will not stay reset. 15 amp breaker controls the 10 GFCI outlets and the central vac. I have nothing plugged into any of the outlets.
So I would either start out by replacing the GFI outlet and then go to each circuit or to each of the junction boxes, which is, the ones with, it's the square 110 box with the little wings on them. Pull each one of those apart, open each one of them up, and see if the wires that slices into it, if they're making contact or something's either touching or burnt or came disconnected.
Yeah. And typically what we see, and we get this a lot here in
plugged in a heater.
Yeah. We see that a lot here because we've got people that use their rigs in the wintertime. We got the local surf ballroom that does a winter dance party. It's the Buddy Holly, Richie Valens, Big Boppers, music festival, and they bring rigs in and use them as green rooms, and they plug in every ceramic heater they can possibly find in that thing, and they trip the breaker, and you trip that breaker 5 or 6 times, it's done. And then so what we typically do is we'll go in there, we'll disconnect and just have the breaker powered, because you've got all these others ganged with it, like you were saying, but disconnect that, and then if the breaker doesn't reset just by itself, then we know it's just a breaker. If it does, then we know it's probably something down the line. But every year we go in there and we replace, we get the call and we replace 5, 6 of those, because most RV manufacturers do not use a really good quality GFCI outlet in those. They find the cheapest possible thing they can get, and then the ones that are ganged to them are even cheaper. They don't even have the reset button. So
yeah.
That's I'm sure that's what caused it. Hi from Central and RVing for Newbies. We've got a new newsletter that's going to come out here for new RVers pretty soon. We're writing some articles for that. So I think you can even maybe sign up for that. Maybe Chuck can give us a little more information on that later on. So we got Cobra again says, I disconnect the central vac, replace the bathroom GFI and the 15 amp GFI breaker. It still trips immediately. Any thoughts? Then it's got to be something downstream.
Yep.
Right? Yeah. You've got other, you said 10 outlets gang to that. So I would start taking those outlets off, like you said, take them apart, and then, connect them one at a time, and you'll find out which one does it.
Yep. So it sounds like he's saying he replaced the 15 amp circuit breaker in the panel. And I'm wondering if it's a 15 amp circuit breaker GFI resettable in his panel.
Okay.
So if it's that, Cobra, take out your, power panel, make sure none of the wires are burnt or connected good. And then depending on what main leg they're pulling that power off of, if it's a 50 amp coach or 30 amp coach, you might want to go back to your J box, check your short cord in, check your connections at your transfer switch. If you have a generator on there, just recheck everything, make sure it's good.
So let me ask you this, and I had this in my house here just recently. It's a 2-year-old townhouse, and we have a GFCI outlet in the kitchen that would keep tripping the breaker on the panel. And so I had an electrician come in and take a look at it, and he goes, by code now we have to put these GFCI breakers in the panels here, and they're too sensitive
Yeah.
For these things. And most of in that box, and I guess this is a Mike Sokol question, but Mike's not with us right now, but most of those don't have a GFCI breaker in the box, do they?
No, 90% of them don't. Usually some of the higher end stuff will have them in there, but it's real rare.
Yeah.
Usually it's at the Coach standard plug-in like we would have at our house.
Yeah. So
and then they'll tie to that first one, and then they'll string all the others to it.
Right. But the breaker in the box.
Yeah.
They have a specific GFCI breaker that's, on that box. But that's what I had problems with. The electrician came in and he said, we are just having they are way too sensitive.
Maybe the quality of it. I mean, those breakers aren't really that expensive anyways, but
yeah.
Just like everything, there's better qualities. So
I would suggest contacting, the manufacturer, see if you can get a wiring diagram, which is, really not too easy to do, but, and find out if originally it had that in there, or somebody, since 2019, that, did they replace it with something that really shouldn't go in there? Because like I say, I've not seen a lot of those in there, but I
mean, all the years of pulling distribution panels and stuff out, there is so much stuff back behind there. It's going to blow your mind. I mean, especially you're going to look through the vent holes that come through with the wire harnesses. It could just be something that just shook just enough loose to where something's loose in there. So, be careful, where you're,
yeah, disconnect
the power, check everything.
And your battery.
And the battery, yeah.
If you have an inverter, just make sure there's no power backfeeding back through. So, all right. We have Ken says cool. Ken says in RVing for Newbies says Dustin. Or wait, cool. We got Cobra says cool, and we got Brent says cool. You guys have no idea what cool is. I'm in Iowa. It's going to be 40-mile-an-hour winds Friday with 9-degree temperature. That's going to make it way too cold. So Dave Snoopy says, wondering about 303 aerospace protectants. Seems to be 3 different kinds: marine, RV, and automotive. They all have different prices for the same amount, from 12 to 24 for RVs. What is the real deal?
Buy the cheapest one. It's all the same.
I know it. It's whatever price they can get in the market at.
I had I won't say the brand, but there's a fuel injection or cleaner treatment that I talked about before. And I said to the guy, well, what's the difference between the diesel one and the gas one? And how come this one's good for 128 gallons, but this one's good for this? And he said, it's all the same. He said, some of it's just a little stronger than the other
packaging.
But I mean, the RV version versus the marine version versus the automotive version, I think what they've done is just set it at different price points with a different label on it. And they figure that the guy with the car is going to probably pay less, or the guy with the RV or the boat's going to pay more.
Yep. They're used to paying more. And a lot of times what you see is they're packaged in different bulk. The RV one is normally bigger because you got a bigger surface. So the smaller ones. So yeah, definitely. I don't know of any difference in those in the 303. Great stuff, originally designed for the aerospace industry.
And there's a bunch of different 303 products out there.
Right. Because 303 now makes silicone sprays and UVs, and they're kind of getting into lubricants and a little bit of everything. So make sure you're comparing the exact same stuff. The 303 that I'm
waxes and cleaners and leather and
303 that I'm familiar with. I remember when it came out in the early 80s. We had these big beige motorhomes that would turn pink with oxidation. And 303 came out, and we were able to restore some of that, not all of it, but some of it would bring those colors back. And it was originally designed for the gaskets and seals on spaceships.
We had
the front door of a spaceship.
A quick short story. I'll try to make it quick. 20 plus years ago, when we broke away from a dealership and we started to go out and do mobile RV repair, there was 3 of us, and we were out polishing a coach out in the Delta Loop. So outside in the summertime, using the wrong products. We didn't know what the heck we were doing. And I say old timer, right? Come over. So see my coach, kids? Look how nice that looks. Well, what do you use? and we found out about Protectol 20 years ago, 303. He had a couple other Meguiar's and some other products that he used, and his unit looked brand new, and it was like 10 years old.
Yep.
You know, and the one that we were waxing and trying to clean up was like 2 or 3 years old. You know, and the guy used to be an old detail guy, and he spent half the day showing us all these tricks and what to do. And you know, I mean, there's tricks to every trade.
Yeah. So Nancy says it's the first time to be able to watch. So I think that's a fist bump. Whoops. Fist bump, Nancy. There we go. All right. Pretty sure what that is. FZ says cool. Bill's back again. Hello again, Bill. Thanks for joining us. Cool. Brent says cool. And Sandy's from Rancho Cordova.
Right. My neck woods.
She's been here a few times.
Yeah.
And we have, there's Michael back from York, but he's now in Georgia. We're in Florida, Mike, if I remember correctly, because we were all jealous. It was 0 degrees here. And Sandy says cool. And let's get up to Joyce. Says cool twice, and she's from South Florida. All right, there we go. Lee and Bert, cool. And we got Les, and from West Texas, Nancy. We are right about 30 people. So Sirius, California.
All right.
Make sure you write in your questions, because I don't want to say cool all night. I'll sound like LL. DS Cool J. And
see, we just need to mix up the hashtags, and then you could be like, you know, cool hip. Ashley can make a short out of it.
Terry says, Dustin, in the meantime, should they drill a small hole at each end of the crack to keep it from expanding?
Yeah.
Yep. And I would bet that there is one end of the crack that is right at the corner. It's not going to go any further from there. So, okay. And we have,
if you're careful, if you tape it up really well, you might be able to get in there and just take like a real small file and just or a pick and just kind of scrape out that crack and go get some white epoxy and tape it up really well and put a little bit of white epoxy in there, and then go back and kind of sand it down or you know, use a razor blade and trowel it off real thin. You might be able to repair it that way and it not be that noticeable. Just trick.
Yes. All right. So we have Scott has a 2022 Jayco White Hawk. He lives in Pennsylvania. Can I make my Max Air fan in the living room, remote control and power lid? It's manual now and push button.
You have to get another one.
Yeah. Well, you could do like my dad had one of the first remote controls ever in the with our TV. His name was Dave. He would say, Dave, get up and go change the channel. So that's about the only way you can do it, I think, if you know, hey, Ma.
So Scott, we sell both the Fantastics and the Max Air. The only complaint that I get from the Max Air is that you have to point the remote at the fan. If you're just kind of like our house remote and you're, you know, like that, it's not going to work. You have to aim it direct, aim a sight. We actually put one in a shower here a while back, and the owner used to be able to reach out with this Fantastic and just hit the button off and on. And he found out he had to like pull it off, turn it on, turn it off, put it back in, and he didn't want to do that. So, you know, keep that as an option. Fantastic fan versus Maxi Air. I like both of the products. We sell both of them, but
we put a Fantastic, replaced a manual one like you're talking about in a what was it? 2000. It was an Itasca 92 Itasca when we first started doing the RV Repair Club. And the challenge we had is in the living room area where we wanted to put it at. There was no power in the first one. So you've got a manual one now that you're lifting the lid and
do it from a local light.
Yeah, we had to find a light that wasn't switched because we wanted to make sure that it had a live wire going. It was switched on the light itself, so the wire was live, but not switched down in the entryway coming in. And you know, all it was just a crank open thing that would just let hot air out. You know, you don't see many of those anymore. That was a 92, but we had to take a coat hanger and fish up to the light socket that we took out and then pull power. So that's the challenge. You got to get power back there.
Yeah.
So, long story short,
he should have power pretty close where he could do that if it's in a bathroom.
Yep. Yeah, it's in the living room, he said.
Oh, in the living room.
Yeah.
You can also steal it from like the air conditioner too if there's an AC close by. So there's plenty of
get 12 volt.
Yep.
Don't tap into the 120. You'll raise your motorhome off the ground.
If you buy one on Amazon, just a heads up. So Max Air got bought out by Atwood. Atwood got bought out by Dometic. And so now that a while back, we were buying a couple fans here and there during the COVID time because the distributors didn't have them. Well, we actually bought one that was from Amazon, installed it in a unit. For whatever reason, it decided to go bad. The motor went bad in it. When we went to go turn in a claim, which they normally would pay us like the labor and the parts to swap it out, they denied it. They said, "Oh, that's not one of our fans." So what do you mean? They said, "Well, that was, a previous edition that we sold, truckloads of them to. When we bought them out, we sold truckloads of them to Amazon for Amazon to sell them." And so they wouldn't warranty it. So just make sure that,
Yep.
If you're going to buy it from a place where you can take it back to and return it if there's an issue, or make sure it's going to be one that's warranted for the 2 years or whatever.
Yep. So we'll get back to the GFCI issue. He said that he tried to get a hold of Forest River, and that's very common. Most of these guys have very, very little documentation whatsoever. And even if they do, they protect it from sending it to customers, kind of protect the dealers.
They don't want it all over the internet.
I don't think that's right, but they're protecting the dealer so the dealer can do warranty work, and they're also kind of protecting themselves because they don't know your level of expertise, and they send you a diagram and you start doing something. The liability for that could be pretty dangerous. I know that's what lawyers, when I was back there, said, "We're not sending that information out." It's like, really? You're just gonna let people get mad. Mary Mueller has a 2019 fifth wheel 30 amp with one AC unit. What size generator would you recommend to be able to run the AC?
Put on a hard start, soft start,
medium start.
So Mary, look up soft start RV. Usually Chuck has those on RV Travel, and you can go on and order one of those kits and put it inside the air conditioner, and then you can run it off of 110 cord. It has to be 20 amp, but
yeah. She's wondering what size generator to run it. Not 120.
It depends on what else she's trying to run. Microwave. The second you turn on that generator, you're already calling for that voltage for that AC upon startup. So the second you plug it in, you now have, if your water heater's on electric, your converter, if there's anything else that's plugged in, radios, TVs, whatnot, that's all drawing. So I would say like a 3500.
Yeah, I was going to say, you see a lot of smaller
2500s.
Yeah, you see a lot of smaller Class C's that have one roof air that are running 3,500 to 4,000.
4,000, yeah.
So I would say you could, but do you have a residential refrigerator? Are you gonna pull from that? That's because that's gonna, even if it goes through an inverter through your batteries, that's gonna start drawing the batteries down, and your converter's gonna kick in. So that generator's gonna have to supply not only the air conditioner but the battery charger and other stuff inside there. So you got to do the
math. What I'm saying is that, like, a lot of times owners will go out and they'll buy like a 2,500 or they'll buy a 3,500, and then it's not enough voltage to sustain everything. Right. And so then they're having to go back and buy another matching generator in order to pair them up with a pair kit.
Yep.
And then they were like, well, dang it. I should have bought a bigger one out of the gate. But see if somebody has a generator that you can borrow or use as a tester, and plug it all in and go in and turn everything on and see what kind of happens and go from there. But do that soft start for the AC.
Yep.
And
one of the things I recommend to people when they start asking about what size of, different things that they need, and you want to calculate what you're going to use, you're basically looking at how many watts are you going to start to draw. That's the thing. So you're going to get a 3,000 watt, 3,500 watt, 4,000 watt. So if you go to gpelectric.com,
Yep.
and I think we even might have it on if you go to rvtravel.com/Dave, look at the downloads that are in there and see if we got the GP 120 volt calculator on there. But
we have it on our website too.
Okay.
On our Go Power page.
Yeah. Go to Dustin's page, go to that calculator, and it's not a perfect science, but at least it starts getting you thinking that, okay, if the refrigerator is going to run, it's going to use this amount of power. How long is it going to run? How many times it's going to cycle? That's hard to calculate, but at least it gets you starting to think about some of that stuff in there, and you might go, ooh, that might be a little tough to do.
Do your homework on the generators too. So, whether if it's one that you're going to get installed, if it's like an Onan, or if you're doing like Hondas or you're doing Yamahas. So like I own personal stuff. Some of the Yamahas hold more fuel than the Hondas. Some of them are quieter. There's a bunch of differences between them. So,
Yep.
Check out into detail.
Yep. So we got a live question that's come in. Those of you that are here last week, you saw Millie and her cheese enchiladas, and I'm pretty sure she got those taken care of. The campground was happily fed for the weekend without getting botulism and various other things. So I think if Chuck's got Millie ready, our AI du jour, is that what we're going to call her? So go ahead and let's see what a question coming in from Millie.
Hi guys, it's Millie, your favorite artificial gal. As you know, I am traveling alone these days. My boyfriend Bob used to take care of mechanical problems, but he dumped me. What a creep. He just up and left one morning with an 18-year-old cheerleader named Betty, who was camped next to us with her wiener dog Gabba Gabba Ding Dong, who was a real yapper. That dog never shut up, so I'm not sorry to see him go. And get this, Bob took his toolbox. I'll tell you, I'd wring his skinny neck if I could find him. So I need to buy some new tools. Right now, I have 2 screwdrivers, a hammer, a pair of pliers, a putty knife, and a crescent wrench. What else should I have? By the way, I really love your show. I am totally into RVs, and you guys are so handsome you drive me crazy.
Never did like wiener dogs.
Come on in, we'll give you free labor.
That's it. No. So, Dustin, I've got a really easy solution, but go ahead. What do you think?
I think she should just go outside with the sign and say, please fix my RV.
There you go.
And I can make enchiladas.
For cheese enchiladas.
Cheese enchiladas is single, right?
Well, that is a question I get from a lot of newbies too that say, what do you recommend? And everybody's going to have their own toolbox depending on their specific abilities, what they want to check, how far they're going to go in. But Lippert has a toolbox kit already set up. If you go to lci1.com and go to their products page, they've got a toolbox that is completely set up with the multimeters and the basics of tools. And I went through that list and I looked and said, okay, if I were to take that and I would go to Harbor Freight, which is one of the cheapest places you can find and not always the best tools, but you don't have to have a fluke. And it took me every single one they had in there. I looked at them, I calculated it, and I think their price was like $10 more than if I did all that and took all the work myself, and not even close to the quality. So yeah. I would say go look at LCI One. The only thing they did not have on their list was a non-contact voltage tester, and I believe the infrared. And I like those two added to it. So
real good.
Yeah. And yeah, some of that stuff. But again, it kind of depends.
It's pretty good for like, say, you're just starting out and maybe you're not that handy. And that's okay. There's tons of people that aren't handy. You can learn it. That's another reason why we all go to YouTube. There's so much stuff on there, but
Yep. You'll start seeing some of that stuff.
Yeah.
But I do have to say,
Get us
Millie was on
started.
last week and said we were both handsome, so I kind of know why her boyfriend left her. I think she keeps doing that. She's going to have a tough time keeping anybody's dogs around. Okay. Good vibes from North Sac Valley Kid. There's our AI laugh track as well.
All right.
So thankful this 2005 fifth wheel is still standing. Happy to be here to learn. Ty,
Cool.
thanks a lot.
Thanks, Ty.
Thank you. It's just Ty. Thank you. It's like nomenclature. The first time I heard that word, somebody says, "You don't know the nomenclature," and I'm like, "Because not a guy from Jersey, nomenclature." All right, so it's time for cool tools. What do you got?
Oh, I need the cool tool maker over here. Here she comes. Oh, wait, Chuck did it. Somebody did it.
I did that.
Let's see here.
Oops, I got a. There we go. We'll take that off. So is that?
Oh, that's you. Let's start with you.
Where's your cool tools? Okay, we'll start with me.
Let's start with you.
So the first one, this is a fun part. The first one, this is my step ladder, and I never got to know my original ladder, my biological ladder. So I had to throw that in as a joke. Sorry. Here is my cool tools. It is a battery watering system. I got the question this morning from a guy that had 6-volt batteries, and they were completely dry. And he went on a trip. He put it away for the storage, brought it out, saw the batteries were dry, and he was blaming the dealer. And I said, well, if you got 6-volt batteries, you need to check that electrolyte, that fluid level every single time you go out, because those are going to gas. They're going to lose water easily, especially if you have a multi-stage charger. So this happens to be a battery watering system. I mean, you could do it the old-fashioned way. I have one of these little turkey basters that you can go in individually, but it's getting harder and harder to get into these compartments to get there. So you just put these on. This one happens to be from US Battery, and this one is from Flow-Right. And here's the URL. You can get to it on Amazon. Really pretty inexpensive. When these first came out, Trojan and some of those had them, and they were $300-$400 for a set of 4.
Make sure everybody knows this is for a 6-volt battery, and it won't fit on an interstate. So it's more so, or Trojan really, because Trojan and interstate merged. It's the same battery now.
No, the Trojan still red battery is still the same. Yeah, and what you want to look for is you want to make sure that the vent hole goes straight down.
Okay.
And if you look at an interstate, you'll notice how it tapers in, and so the float gets stuck in that, because we tried to put one on an interstate one in one of the videos we were doing, and it wasn't working. And so I called US Battery, and the guy said they don't work on the interstate one because they taper, but the Trojan still does. I just looked at one I got from a golf cart that came off there. So, but Trojan also makes
a really good thing to have, for
Well, and what it does is, so you put these. Let's pop this off here. So you put your systems in. So if you got a 6-volt, you got 3. If you got a 12-volt, you're going to have 6 of these things, and you put these in, and they just stay on. And then every time they're hooked with this 1/4-inch hose, and this is just a check valve here so that you don't get acid back in. And then before you take off on your trip, you stick this into a gallon of distilled water, 2, 3, 4 squeezes of this thing. Those check valves will only let it get to the top, and they're all done, and you don't have to mess with anything. So, again, US Battery, Flow-Right, Trojan, there's a lot of them out there, but, just make sure they got the check valve and they fit your battery. So, with your turn.
All right. Let's see here. Aha. So I just wanted to talk about a blowgun, and we
Sounds like the one in Africa where you go.
Yeah, and we'll go to just me and Dave.
Wake up me an elephant.
So just regular blowgun. There's a couple different sizes. You can get the ones that have like a 2-foot extension on them. We use these all the time. We'll go in and run a Slideout room out, blow stuff out from underneath the Slideout room. Blow out our furnaces, water heaters, refrigerators, stove vents. We use them in the coaches. We'll use them to free check valves. Yep, there you go. So
And my homemade one.
Yep, and your homemade one. And so they're real handy to have. They're cheap and inexpensive. If you got a small portable compressor, you have a compressor at the house. We use them to go in and blow out the air conditioner oils. So there's a lot of good use for them. You can use them to blow out the window tracks. Pretty much anything you can think of. Blow out your converter area. Blow out your vents. Sometimes we'll take in the floor registers, we'll take a shop vac, and we've got little things that we've made to set over like a floor register to kind of suck up, and we'll blow compressed air through one end and suck at the other end so that it gets any particles or dust or dirt that's been sitting in the floor tracks too, or the floor grills. So just a good tool to have. Sure, use them or.
And I've been blamed at sucking at one end too, so didn't do it quite right. Didn't fix it.
Your pool noodles.
Yep. This one I actually built to do the back of a refrigerator. The burner assembly in there, because it's flexible enough you can kind of get it in and up and around, because get a lot of soot in that back area, and then there's some spiders that love the smell of propane, and they'll go in and spin a web and block that flow of LP coming through, make it run less efficient. So Cobra says that when a manufacturer lists the hitch weight, are they including full LP tanks with batteries, etc.? Is there a standard they must follow to list a hitch weight?
That I don't know.
Well, no, that does not.
Would probably add for it.
Yeah, it does not include full LP tanks. It does not include batteries, because almost everyone, and you're talking trailer here, so hitch weight. So almost every one of the trailers that come to a dealership come without batteries. The dealership
propane
specs the batteries, and then the propane tanks could be one tank, could be two tanks. And so most of the time when they do a dry weight, they do a hitch weight, it's as the unit gets to a dealership. So you have to factor in those pieces. So, two batteries in there could add quite a bit to that. I just came across, two batteries and 2 LP
piece, maybe.
Yeah.
60, 70 pounds a piece, 65.
Yep. But
if it's 6 volt, but
Yeah. But it doesn't include that. One of the things, though, that there's a couple of products out in the market. I'm still researching. One of them is called WaySafe, and it's actually a hitch that has a weight gauge right on it. So it helps you with setting up a weight distribution hitch and knowing where you're at.
They don't have one of those or anything like that for like a fifth wheel yet, right? That's just for
this is just the the bumpable stinger.
Yeah.
And you know why they call it a stinger? When you slide that hitch into the receiver, that's called a stinger.
Mm-hmm.
That's because when you walk around at night and you hit it with your shin, it's really stings, and you'll remember that. And us hard learners will do it 2 or 3 times. So, and you can get that thing on Amazon. I just want to let people know that I just ordered
the mirrors.
What's that?
The mirrors.
The mirrors. Oh, yeah. I got one of these right here that I opened. I opened the door and went in to yell at somebody inside, and I hit the screen door, came out the mirror, and I had 16 stitches, I believe it was. So
or somewhere up here, you hit the top of your head on the big overhead TVs on the Class A as you're going down the driver's seat.
I did that, knocked myself out on a landing out in Washington D.C. But a lot of people get knocked out in Washington D.C. or should. So I just want to let you know, I just ordered a chicken and an egg on Amazon. I'll let you know which one gets here first. Come on, that's funny. Hi, Brad.
He lives where they grow a lot of corn, so some of the jokes are corny.
We have a lot of free time out here. We do.
The corn.
Good idea about borrowing one to try. We have to look at several types. We'll check out the 120 volt calculator. One of the things too is when you're looking at generators, get a generator inverter. Now, don't just go to the box stores and get that big commercial one because it's cheaper. That will do hard power. It's designed for lights and tools that are needing a burst, and you will ruin computer components inside your RV, your microwaves, all that kind of stuff. You want a generator inverter that does a pure sine wave so that you don't have that.
All those new touchscreen pads.
Oh boy, yeah, and those are cheap to replace.
Oh yeah.
Henry goes, cool. Where are we at so we're down to we're out of questions here now. So maybe this would be a good time to run our cool deal. We'll give everybody one more chance to get their cool. I think we got everybody in. We're
#cool.
Yeah, #cool. So Ashley, play that beautiful bean footage.
Here we go. Oh, all right.
Lee and Bert. All right. Congratulations, Lee and Bert Rosau, I believe. So send your email, your snail mail address. There you go. To the editor at rvtravel.com. That way you give him your mailing address. He will send the cool fan for you. And congratulations. So we have a couple more Marshes from San Antonio. And so I'm trying to think of a couple of questions that we had this week. Yeah, we had one that came in today.
Oh,
and do we have something pop up? There we go. Snoopy just said, my question was based on your YouTube roof sealant repair I saw today. So he must be talking about you.
Yeah.
And what was his question? Do you remember? I'm going to scroll back up and see if I can find.
Oh, he wanted to know if he could put the 303 on the sealant. Is that right?
No, wondering about 303 aerospace protectant. Seems to be 3 different kinds.
Yeah.
Okay. So he saw that.
So I did a post this morning about the Camco TPO roof cleaner. And then there was a video that we re-released that's been out already on the Eternabond tape. And then I put stuff out every day, so sometimes it becomes a blur, but did he reply back yet? No.
Nope. He just
roof sealants repair.
Yeah. So he was asking, you must have said something in your video about 303 protectant for UV.
Yeah, we also did a video that came out yesterday. So we had a in the shop. So here's instead of a question, here's something that came up. A unit came in their shop a while back and came in and ended up doing a slide out service on it, and where the guys are going through and cleaning and treating the seals and just checking the basics and making sure that it's operating as designed. One of the guys' complaints was that it was leaking water into the inside. Well, at the time, he wasn't really specific, or at least we know he wasn't that specific to the question or to what was going on. He just assumed, hey, they'll find it when they're in there. So that he came back saying, hey guys, it's still leaking. What we ended up finding was that the Eternabond tape was letting loose on the seam. And Dave, you are more so in snow and stuff than I am. So we have a lot more harsher sun out here. And so we don't stick that on anybody's roofs or sealants or anything like that. So we're getting a lot of owners that are putting it completely over all their seams, and they're even taking all the sealant off and putting the tape on their seams. And so what we've seen is, as the coach heats up in the inside, or the outside's cool, or vice versa, condensation is, and the temperatures are coming out through the moldings, and it's causing the Eternabond tapes and different patch tapes to let loose. And I don't know if that's maybe what he's talking about. So we had that video as well.
Okay. I'm not sure. So we'll move on. Snoopy, if you can elaborate a little more for us on what you saw, or for Dustin anyway. So we had Ken said, any recommendations for a torque screwdriver?
Yeah.
And I guess you want to clarify a little bit on what you're looking at for a torque screwdriver. Are you talking about the screw guns, similar to these Craftsman back here?
No, I think he's talking about an actual torque screwdriver. They make, just like you have like a torque wrench, they do have screwdrivers that are set to do a certain torque too. And if I don't have a torque screwdriver that I know of in my box, I have to double check. But I would use my quarter-inch torque wrench with the appropriate tip on it, with like a nut driver on it for like a screwdriver or Torx bit.
Yeah. I don't know that I've ever really seen
or
any specification on a screw.
No. Well, machinist stuff, but
yeah,
for the most part.
When I was at Winnebago, one of my first jobs was an inspection, and we would go through and inspect it to make sure that all the air compressors were set at a certain pound per pressure, because then all the screwdrivers on that, we knew that they would not go too far, and gouge and start to crack whatever was.
Yeah, he's saying 10 to 50 pounds.
So some of that stuff. So
I figured it was an actual torque screwdriver. I mean, they make them. Usually it's more for stuff that's like you're messing with like electrical, or you're working on like TVs or different little things like that.
Yeah. I have not seen any torque settings, in the screws.
Yeah. I mean, not on an RV, it's real rare. Maybe on something that goes in it, there may be something that a different company is recommending to have something torqued down. But
normally hand tightening on a screwdriver, unless you get into something that's really got to be put in, like a awning rail that goes into another metal piece, then you're definitely going to want to put a little more pressure into it. But we'll do a little more in that. So Dave comes back. Oops, wait a minute. We got Dorian just before him. Michelle uses Clorox and water to clean the TPO roof. Comes out clean white. Is that harmful to use on a TPO roof?
Yeah. So my worry on there is the Clorox is going to dry out the membrane surface.
Yeah.
And it may look beautiful, but I would rather see you use like Simple Green or Dawn dish soap or something like that.
Yeah.
It's just over time, it's going to dry it out. So think of it as dry skin. Be careful with it. I mean, I know if you're probably using like 10-to-1, but still it's going to bleach it and dry out that product and cause
it's going to start to deteriorate the material. Yeah. And I would say Dawn dish soap is probably the best. The blue stuff is environmentally friendly, cleans ducks in Alaska. So
Simple Green, spick and span without bleach.
Yep.
Anything that's got lemon, lime, citrus, bugger, tar remover, solvent, try not to use it on the roofs.
Alpha Systems recommends Murphy oil soap in water. That all those are mild detergents that will still take the tars, tree saps, the bird droppings, and get that stuff out.
And that goes back to that 303, right? They tell you don't have to apply anything to that, right? But that's like me going out in the sun all day and not applying any suntan lotion.
Yep.
So that 303, it's got an anti-static property. It's got a dust and dirt repellent property. So if you drop like sap on it after you've treated it, it's going to wipe up. It's not going to stick. Yep. I mean, unless it's like 4, 5, 6 months old. But I mean, if you keep that stuff applied on there regularly, you're not going to get stuff that's going to stick on there.
Right. All right. So Ken, Jeff said he found a decent torque screwdriver on Amazon for $32. I would say that most of your home improvement stores now are carrying a wide variety of tools like that kind of stuff. Again, I've never run into the need to have one of those. So Cobra says, when stationary long-term, is it necessary to close and reopen the RV slides intermittently? And if so, how often do you recommend?
I would say once a month.
Yeah.
Especially if they're hydraulic.
Yeah. And anything that's got hydraulic fluid with seals and stuff like that, it's always good to operate it, let it run around a little bit. That keeps those seals pliable. Yep. But I would be careful depending on where you're at, to make sure you get it at a time frame where you don't have, like right now, most of this winter, I've got a unit sitting out here that I did not go out and run the slide rooms out and back because we had snow after snow after snow after snow after snow. And it's just, the roof was up there and there's just, there's so much stuff going on that I just didn't want to expose all that to something dropping down in all the water. I thought I'm going to just keep it tight. And here, it's supposed to get next week. Hopefully, it'll get up into the 60s, and then I can get out and bring them out. But theirs are electric. He's got Schwintek on the front sides of them, and I think a quickie in the back room. Or no, it's the AccuSlide, the BAL AccuSlide cable. Both those are electric. So, yeah.
So just operate them once a month. Maybe depending on the weather, depending on what kind of soaps you're using. Apply that either 303 or apply like I like the Protectol spray lube for the bulb seal treatment. Apply that to the wiper seals. Make sure, like I was talking about, that one slide out that I said was leaking from the Eternabond tape. Make sure you run the room partially in if you can and look at the inner seam. Don't just pay attention to the outer seam that's on the flanges. So look at both seams, look at the side seams, and just make sure nothing's like falling apart or coming loose at the bottoms, especially if we're going to have it out for long periods of time.
Yep. Okay. Dave comes back with he was with the 303 Protect, and he saw that it was the front roof cap seal that totally bubbled away in different types of sealers, is what he said you did in your video.
Oh, that was the, sure it was the front cap seal that totally bubbled away, different types of sealers. I'm still lost.
Hold on.
Well,
here's a Prevagen for you. That bottle's empty.
Man, the bubbled away. So I'm pretty sure he's got to be talking about that Eternabond tape that was bubbling and lifting up on the slide out seal.
Yeah. Somewhere you must have you mentioned different types of sealers, and yeah. I would venture to say you mentioned the 303. So
there was somebody talking back and forth with me about the difference between like the Dicor and the Alpha Sealant, and I was telling them there's a whole chain of thing of somebody was going back and forth. The Alpha Sealant for California, they've changed some kind of chemicals in it, so it doesn't self-level. It's real hard to adhere, so it's not real applicable anymore. Like the Dicor self-levels, is because they've changed the solvent ratio in it, so it's not adhering to the TPO roofs as well as it used to. Same with their glues. So we kind of stay clear of anything to do with Alpha. I mean, we use the roof membranes, but as far as the glue and the sealants, we don't touch them. If you come into our shop, everything's Dicor.
All right. So we're going to move on. Kat says Bosch electric water heater new in 2021 in a grooming trailer. Water temperature fluctuates even when plenty of hot water left. Water temperature turned high on the water heater. Still temp fluctuates. Shear flow pump. So I am not familiar with the Bosch electric water heater, and I'm kind of thinking that is maybe a residential heater, that was put into a trailer, or maybe a construction heater. I have not seen
a pet grooming heater.
Yeah,
specialized water heaters for those.
Yeah, I have not seen that used in the RV industries. But if it's electric and it's fluctuating, I would say that you're probably getting an issue with voltage. 120 volt power coming in, what else you're using in, and what you're plugging into. Yeah. And if you're plugging into a residential 20 amp plug, you're going to have all kinds of problems with anything else running in that. So I don't know what your grooming trailer has for other. Is it just a trailer that's been renovated, or is it a toy hauler that's got?
So it's like if it's a generator, and you're right, if she's using like say from like a blower to a fan to a water heater, it may be messing with the voltage.
Yeah, I think probably the best thing that you can do is get a surge protector, get some kind of a, even one of these simple little, where is it?
Something else too.
Kilowatt. This you plug this in. If it's a 120 volt electric heater, plug this in first, and this will tell you what watt draw, what voltage, and so you see a fluctuation in it, then you got low power issues.
Yeah. Something else to think about too is if she's mobile and she's going from job to job, different waters and different areas of the town or city or wherever she's at, or cat. I don't know if it's a guy or a girl.
Okay, so it says diesel 8K provides the power. So
she got plenty of power then.
I got plenty of power in that. So, but I would say that
element, ECOT stat. Make sure you're washing it out, that you're using a flush wand in there, and getting any scaling or anything off.
Yeah, we'll have to do a little more research on that Bosch. I'm not, like I say, I'm not familiar with that. Usually we don't see a lot of electric water heaters in RVs, specific electric. You see the propane electric, and those generally it's either the temperature sensor, the heat element. That's maybe something if that Bosch has a heat element in it, which it probably should. You should be able to take and ohm that out. And I know the Atwood and the Suburbans should be right at about 10 resistance. And we just had a question on that came before. The guy had 0, so that it didn't work. But we're running out of time here. I want to get just the last. Michael is now at the FCC Rail Perry, Georgia. That's why he left Florida. And Charles says he's got a Vivor screwdriver that he likes. And Lee has said, do they want to convert their Grand Design Reflection to AGM to lithium? I know I'll need to update our converter. I'll need 1 or 2 lithium batteries. What else will I need? There's several great articles we put in. Look in rvtravel.com. Because it's a long discussion that you're going to need to know what your converter is designed for. You don't want a multi-stage converter in that. Do you have a charging system off your solar panels? How far is your converter away? You're going to get voltage drop. Are you putting them in a compartment that's cold? So in the wintertime, and when using it, a lot of things in there. Go look at my articles in there. We've
got a bunch of solar pages too on our website. It's always
Jeff, what brand do you have?
Yep.
Feel free to reach out. I got a couple I use. And where's Jeff said he uses a San Liang, I believe. And David says, no. Or yes, he says. Sometimes it's hard to keep up with you guys. Okay, HN, using diesel. Okay, freshwater tank, a fill. And that's about it, guys. We're running out of time. So I thank everybody for coming out. Next week, we'll be back, and we'll have some more cool tools. And Millie will have some more questions. Hopefully by then she found a mobile mechanic or something. And a mobile boyfriend. That's what she needs, a mobile boyfriend with a toolkit. So everybody, thanks for coming out. We appreciate it. Be safe out there, and I can't wait for spring.
So much for joining us on today's live stream. If you think today's content was helpful, let us know by hitting the like button or share it with a friend.
We'll be right back here next Wednesday at 4 p.m. Pacific Standard Time. We hope to see you then.